it's like that moment where you kind of bump into each other. You're like, hey, even though I kind of saw him from afar, I have to act like I'm surprised. Like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Surprised to see you here. And then he's like, oh, are you going? Are you going home? Yes. And then he's like, and he walks in the middle of the street and stops the traffic so I can cross the street. Seriously, guys, I felt like a little girl. I was walking to my car and I screamed, like muffled screamed. And I just hope to this day he never heard me because I was screaming like a little girl. Like I was like, ah! Like that. Aww. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now.
Oh, I also have one more thing about Meg, just to add. So Meg and I used to be enemies. Or
it's a wrap. Woo! We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Welcome to another episode of All Abroad Podcast. And since it is the month of love and today is Valentine's Day, we are so happy that we're going to be talking about love stuff. I'm just going to say love stuff in general. And my name is Sweeney May. I'm your host today for this podcast. And today's podcast also includes
Cat,
Joy,
Egg. Yes. And today we're going to be talking about our love experiences. We'll see how this conversation goes. But before we start this episode, I do want to play everyone a song. And if you so want to lip sync, go ahead.
If you love me like you tell me, please be careful with my heart.
I knew you guys would love that song. It was like they didn't know that I was going to play that at all. But because it's Valentine's Day, I wanted to focus on some love songs that we loved growing up. And we listened to it growing up because our parents listened to it growing up. And the song that we just played is actually called Please Be Careful With My Heart by Jose Marichan, who we highlighted also back in our Christmas episode. But this was his song with Regine Velasquez. She is one of the songbirds back home. And so this is one of those songs that's just a classic love song for Filipinos. And I want to ask everyone their opinion. Why is it, and I'm just going to say it now outright, is that Filipinos are suckers for love and romance and, you know, in life, in the TV shows that we watch, in the shows that we see growing up, and the songs and everything. Like, I feel like Filipinos are suckers for love. And why do you think that is? Does anyone want to say their opinion?
who knows, man? I just think that we were so influenced heavily by song hits and the songs on the radio and the mood TV shows we watched growing up. Like everything in like our Filipino channels was like love teams, and like the actors and actresses have the love teams, and like it's all about like the drama, the love triangles and all that stuff. It's ridiculous.
But speaking of love teams, maybe Meg or Joy wants to say anything about this, but why, like the show business, the actors and actresses that we grew up watching, I guess they kind of do that here in America, but back home, it was like, if you're an actress, this is what I noticed. If you're an actress, you have not made it if you've not been paired up with someone as your love team, right? Like everyone has a love team. Like here, it's like that's not really important. Like, but why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's because they're just suckers for love, and there's just something about a boy and a girl happily ever after, and putting that all into into play, like in, and something that people can relate to. And then when they play that on TV, and then you have this background music, like the popular US songs or OPMs, and then everyone can just relate to that music. Oh my gosh, that music just melts my heart. And then they just follow it, and and I think it's just something about being hopeful that one day it'll happen to them or to us, and
Yeah, look at it. It happened to you.
I Googled about this researching before our taping. There were a lot of like, why are Filipinos hopeless romantics? Because of the bottom line is influence of media. With the love teams, we bank on like the love teams. Of course, they get revenue from the movies and all that. And the idealization. That's how it is.
Yeah, and I think we get hit hard in all different ways, because we have these love teams on TV with real people, and then we have your Disney stories of like happily ever after. So we are like, it's ingrained in our minds that we are, we were brought into this world to find happily ever after, because Jasmine and Aladdin did, Ariel and Prince Eric did. And all those, love teams, and then some of the shows that that used to be really popular on TV, we didn't really even watch it, but our nannies watched them. So we at least this is my story. And so I end up watching these stories with my nannies, and it's always about the love teams and the struggle and the sacrifices they have to make just to be together. And I feel like at some point we correlate that dating and courting process to a man having to give so much up just to be with you. And I feel like that validates their love for you. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but that's how I thought about it the other day. And I feel like we feel the best when the person who wants to be with us sacrifice so much just to be with us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because that's how it's been portrayed in our TV shows growing up, right? It's like the man having to sometimes a lot of it has stories of either the man comes from a high status, and then he falls in love with a woman of a lower status, but is willing to give up the status of the family to be with the girl, or vice versa. The woman is of a high status, the guy is not, and the guy works really hard to prove to the woman's family that I'm worth it, even though I'm not of the same status as you guys. It's just I honestly think maybe for us Filipinos, we feel like we are such hopeless romantics because we are in it and because we were raised in that culture. But if we think about it, I think it's just human nature. I think humans in general gravitate towards because at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we want as human beings is the sense of belongingness, right? The sense of that whether that's friendship, whether that's familial, right? Whether that's in the family, whether that's feeling belonging because your dog loves you. I don't know. It's just that sense of belongingness. It really does speak to the human nature in general, is that we want to feel loved, right? We were created to love one another. We were created to love each other, and then put that in hyper mode through media, with the music, with the scenes, with the camera angles and all stuff, and forget about it. We are sucked in. I mean, I am completely sucked into Bridgerton right now. For anybody else watching Bridgerton, I am I can't even sleep because I'm wondering what's going to happen to the next episode, because I'm just so enamored by this whole love story. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's just human nature in general, but also because as Filipinos, that's been our influence growing up.
Yeah, and also to piggyback about the feeling of being loved, and Filipinos, we don't really have a lot growing up in a third world countries. We have a lot of hardships in our lives. A lot of young kids grow up very poor or being in an abusive situation. And watching these shows, it's feel good, you know. It's something that I can look forward to and make me happy, and I think that's something that one of them can say, oh, one of these days I can have that happy ending, I can have that happiness in my life.
That makes so much sense, Joy. And I never thought of it like that, but you just gave me a little bit of clarity, because yeah, if you are in, you know, I know we say third world, but I recently learned we're supposed to say developing country. But anyway, if you are in that situation where life is hard, but then you get to escape by, you know, thinking of this love story, and then you start to think like, I hope that happens to me. I hope someone comes and rescue me. And then a lot of the women back home who are maybe like middle class status, or even in a lower class status, like they are encouraged to go find a rich man to marry, you know. And I think it's not just a Filipino thing. I hear it from different races as well. But yeah, like sometimes it's the grown-ups, like, you know, like just go marry a rich guy. And that doesn't really quite work nowadays with our generation. Yes, Kat?
It just reminds me of our saying back at home. What is that? Triple M, mayaman, matanda, madaling mamatay, or quadruple M, mayaman, matanda, madaling mamatay, mayaman, rich, matanda, old, madaling mamatay, about to die.
I know whoever made that up is savage, man. Like, starting to tell people you need to go marry the 4 M's, you know, someone who's rich, someone who's
mayaman, matanda, old.
Someone who's old, because then that means they're gonna die soon and you're gonna inherit everything they have. I mean, it's a sick way of thinking about it, but that's something that went around, you know,
growing up
in our society. So anyway, so when it comes to love, we can only speak for Filipinos for sure, but I feel like, and we feel like we're heavily influenced in our culture with love stuff and romance and everything. And growing up and coming to a different country, we quickly learned that it's not all easy. Love isn't, you know, easy peasy, and it's not as easy as finding someone, you know, getting to know each other, falling in love. Like, love is a complicated thing. And speaking of complicated, you know, if you've never read the book Languages, was it Five Love Languages, then you'd never really understand exactly how to deal with another person within a relationship and make it work, right? So I'm just curious for everyone to tell us, like, what is your love language?
Acts of service, for sure. For me.
Is that what you give, or is that what you like to get?
That's what I like to get, but because it's what I like to get, it's typically also what I love to give. Because remember, because I feel love that way, I naturally think that if I do the same for other people, that they would also feel loved that way, because I feel loved that way. But that's not necessarily the case.
And Meg, what about you? What's your love language?
Giving love, service, taking care of a person. Love language towards me, words of
affirmation.
So you have a different give and take love language. Joy, what about you?
My love language would be, I would give you service and give you my time. And then for me, receiving it's time. That's it's quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really interesting. And I wonder if many Filipinos would say the same thing, but my love language to give is act of service, but not necessarily what I want to get. I think what I want to get is like a combination of time. And isn't gifts one of them?
Yeah.
Gifts. And when I say gifts, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's like if you went to the store and bought yourself something, like I would love if you buy me something too, even if it's a pack of M&Ms, you know, just to show me you were thinking of me. And so, but I wonder, we all said we love to give the love
of
language of
service.
acts of service. And it's funny because I've always heard that with men in different nationality, different race, they love Filipinas because we take care of them. So is Lee around? I want to know if Lee thinks that way.
He's playing video games right now.
Oh, we can't disrupt video games.
But I think it's true, Sweens. I think it's culturally because we were remember our background. A lot of us is our families left us, right? So our families left us so that they could perform acts of service to their family because they want to serve their family well. They want to serve their family financially, set up a good future for their family. And I think that also growing up having helpers around the house who performed acts of service towards us and took care of us. I think that's why a lot of us naturally also love to give acts of service to other people, to our spouses, to our partners, because of the fact that we saw it growing up so much that like when you take care of someone, it's an act of service, it's an act of love. And so it naturally translates for us. And I believe so to a lot of like foreigners who are married to Filipino women. They say, oh man, like my Filipino wife is amazing because they cook, they clean the house, they take care of the household affairs. And that's just I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think culturally speaking it is natural for us. We're typical caregivers. I mean, what are Filipinos known for? Nurses, caregivers. We're just known for giving acts of service.
And I totally agree with that, and I think any guys I've dated before would agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm that type of person that like I would bring you breakfast in bed, and then when I make food, I make it look pretty. And that effort alone, sometimes they don't ever get that from anywhere else because no one's ever given them so much attention or so much acts of service. And so yeah, I mean, that leads me to kind of like my next part of the episode is I want to talk about or teach our viewers, if they're not Filipinos, some love words in our dialect or in our language. And so one of the words that I have written up here is the word panga. So I'll call on Meg. Meg, tell our viewers, what is panga?
Panga it's like a shortcut of palanga. Palanga is an Ilonggo word which means love. So it's like a shortcut calling someone love.
And then it's funny that you said that's a shortcut because there's still a shortcut for panga. What's the shorter cut?
Ga!
Ga.
So palanga to panga to ga.
Uga.
If you're really lazy, just say ga instead of panga.
Yeah.
If you really want to make an effort, say palanga.
Yeah. But the thing is, when we say ga, when it's like a term of endearment, the thing about our dialect, specifically Ilonggo, is that there's a little bit of a whining sound to it. So it's like the whinier it sounds, the sweeter it is. Like ga, ga. Right?
It is so true.
So anyway, but translate it to Tagalog. What is the word for love in Tagalog?
Mahal.
Mahal.
Which also means expensive in our dialect. Mahal means expensive. In Tagalog, it means love. Or also it means expensive too, because ang mahal. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So love is expensive, guys. It doesn't come cheap.
And there's another word we can say that we say in Ilonggo that also means love, but because of our accent, we just say lab, L-A-B. But I only say that because I had an ex-boyfriend back in Bacolod and he would call me labs. Hi, lab. No reaction.
No, it's true. Like
Labs. Anyway. And then when it comes to love songs, we love listening to those like really, really like
Padugo.
Padugo. What is Padugo? Please someone explain.
Bloody.
Well, it is.
Bloody love.
But why is it called that? Why do we say padugo? Why do we refer to it as bloody?
It strikes our hearts like no other. It just stabs us right in our gut and
It
makes
makes
us
it bleed.
Yeah, it makes us go, oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts so good. That hurts so good.
And I feel like sometimes it might be an unhealthy thought or idea of love. Like if it doesn't hurt, it's not real love. Like, does that make sense? I feel like there's like at some point, like we subconsciously think that love has to hurt for it to be real. No? Does anyone have any?
Yeah, it could hurt good or it could hurt bad. So either way, if you hurt, you love, you know?
I don't know what it is, but anything Joy says right now, I just feel like it's a dirty joke.
Hey, just get your mind off the gutter and, you know.
I didn't even think about that, Sweens. I had to think about, I'm like, what does that mean? It could hurt good. It could hurt bad. Oh, I got it. I'm so late.
I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm just saying, you know, someone could hurt you good in a way where, never mind.
In a way that it will consume your mind so much. And
Correct. That it like changed you for the better.
Yeah.
And I was like, this, yeah.
And with that in mind, I do want to play a song, and it's by this group of guys. And I recently just found them. They might have been around for a while now, but they're a group of young guys. And I was just recently playing some random love songs on YouTube Music, and this came about. So
Hey, hold on. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Boyce Avenue.
No.
Sure. Never mind. Okay.
This is Budakhel. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
I'm gonna play it.
Meg got bored.
Okay, Meg.
It's the chorus. You
okay.
stopped the chorus. Oh.
I just want Meg to explain herself.
I love how she just yawned and she was just grumpy the whole time.
I don't like this song. What's up with this song for you, Meg? What's going on?
I'm not even listening. Sorry, I was not even listening to the lyrics.
She tuned us out, guys.
Dang, Meg, come on. Speaking of love that hurts good and love that hurts bad, one of the things that we really like sometimes too is to listen to these padugo songs. And that was a great example. And I know that was in Filipino or in Tagalog, but the song was really about someone someone regretting not taking that moment when he first met her, and now it's too late, and he wishes that he still had the time and he can rewind back the time and do the right thing. So anyway, that was that song.
Meg's like, okay.
Okay, next, please. Next. So I guess my next question for you guys is, what have you learned about love recently that you wish you knew back then?
It's never about just the feeling of love. Never. It takes more than that. I think being married for 13 years now, together for 15, married for 13, it's way more than just the feeling of love. And sometimes the feeling of the kilig, right? The butterflies, that's not gonna last, guys. It just won't last, you know. And you can do stuff that can still enhance that can still keep that alive. But at the end of the day, it's really about the friendship. It's about the togetherness. It's about the communication. It's about the teamwork, the giving in and compromising with each other, but still not losing yourself completely, you know, like being true to who you are, but also like understanding that you are doing life with another person, and you have to make compromises, you have to make sacrifices, and you have to somehow agree. And sometimes it's agreeing to disagree, but still moving forward.
I love that. That's good advice. And I'll ask Joy next, the only other married person in this gala review, because Meg and I will have a different take on this in just a minute. But Joy, what have you learned about love that you wish you knew back then?
For me, it's like picking your battles. Don't sweat the small stuff. And, there are things that you used to fight with your boyfriends or girlfriends back in the day that now, when you're married and you think about it, it was really petty because, things change when you have a family and when you're together for a while, and you kind of like think what really matters for you to like spend your energy on. There's a lot of negative things that happen. So it's about having that positive perspective and just changing the way you think, and at the same time, not compromising your values. So I feel like for me, and Kat said, it's really communication and compromise and having the patience as well, because the other person is not going to be the same person that you married. Everyone changes in time, and you gotta ride the winds of change and just hard work.
Yeah. So Meg, that brings me to you, Meg. You have a different perspective and different set of experiences too. What have you learned about love that you wish you knew back then?
What I've learned is that this is that like a continuous pattern for me, that you need to start loving yourself first, because if you ever find that love and you don't have anything to give from inside you, how can you give love to another person if you don't have that love inside you? And you need to have yourself love and respect for yourself first, for you to be able to have a good relationship with your partner. Because if you don't have your love and self-respect for yourself, you cannot let your partner give you the respect that you need and love from another person.
That makes so much sense. And coming from myself, who's never been married before, that makes a lot of sense that you do have to love yourself in order for you to have boundaries. I mean, even though I haven't, been in any marriage before, I've been in multiple like other relationships where, because my love language is act of service, that I give so much. But I don't know if you've seen these quotes before. For people who are givers, you kind of have to have boundaries because takers don't have any.
Yes,
and
yes.
that's actually like one of the biggest lessons I've learned is to have boundaries. But I'm still learning a good balance between having boundaries and allowing to let yourself go. Because I think that, having not being married, even though I've been in relationships, then I'm really used to, it's kind of like confusing because I'm used to fending for myself. So sometimes it can look like from the other person, it can look like that it's hard to break through me. But at the same time, I give so much. So I guess, but my giving is act of service. And if that's not how they receive love, then they don't understand that I've given so much already. So yeah, I mean, those are good, great lessons for us to share to our followers who are out there making love work, or for looking for love, or trying to cut somebody off. And I guess to close this out, I have one more question, and this goes for everyone. Is that Kat mentioned earlier that the butterflies, the kilig moment, that's what we call it. It doesn't last because it's only really exciting in the beginning. However, I know that you can continue to sort of inject those butterfly moments in your relationship. And I want to ask you guys, what could your partner do, your partner or your husband do that would give you kilig moment now? Like, what are those things that give you kilig moment? Whether they've done it or not, we don't have to say. That's the kilig moment.
I can't right now. Gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to know what are the things that would give you butterflies.
Like for me, David has to be really good at surprising me because I'm not a person who gets easily surprised. Because if you give me one tiny clue, that's it, you're done. But if he can surprise me something I will never figure out, not even like, an inch of what do you call that?
Hint.
A clue of a hint, then that would make me super like kilig. If he plans a trip that everything's already done, paid for, he already have thought about what to do with his child, and all that. Like babysitting issues has already been done. And, that would make me kilig.
So speaking of surprises and not giving you hints, does little baby baking inside of you, is that considered a surprise?
Nah, it was a half and half, surprise and not surprise. But struggle.
The struggle is real. But I agree with you. I think surprises really give me that butterfly. So it's the smallest things. Like even in the past, it could just be like, hey, come over, I have a surprise for you. And I come over and the dinner, like there's dinner prepared. Like that's nice. And that gives you like kilig moment. Like,
yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be extravagant. It just has to be thoughtful. What about you, Meg? I'm gonna go to Kat last because Kat's still thinking. What about you, Meg? What would make you kilig?
What would make me kilig? Future or past?
Doesn't
what
matter.
Would? Doesn't matter. Kilig moment. Kilig moment was walking in the rain and holding hands and just being together, walking in the rain and making out in the rain.
That is kilig. And speaking of moments that are kilig, Kat, I'm still buying you time. I'm still coming back to you though. Speaking of kilig moment, I mean, as a person who has had several dates, there's been several kilig moments because the kilig moments are always so easy in the beginning, right? I once was crushing on this guy, and I'm not going to give any details because I don't want to give him away or myself in trouble in the future. But there's this guy I was crushing on, and he was crushing on me. And let's just say he's a man in uniform. And I was on my way to my car, and him and his coworkers were out there taking care of an incident. It's like that moment where you kind of bump into each other. You're like, hey, even though I kind of saw him from afar, I have to act like I'm surprised. Like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Surprised to see you here. And then he's like, oh, are you going? Are you going home? Yes. And then he's like, and he walks in the middle of the street and stops the traffic so I can cross the street. Seriously, guys, I felt like a little girl. I was walking to my car and I screamed, like muffled screamed. And I just hope to this day he never heard me because I was screaming like a little girl. Like I was like, ah! Like that. Embarrassing to admit that, but I was like already in my mid-30s when that happened.
And that is A-okay.
Yeah, so like moments like that, or like it's Valentine's Day and you're sort of getting to know someone and you kind of have to keep it like under wraps. But on Valentine's Day, he comes to your office and brings like one whole bag of chocolate and just makes it seem like it's for the entire office, but he sends you a text and say it's actually really for you. But I didn't want to be too obvious. But things like that. Aww. That's killing. Surprises.
I guess for me, like right now, like in my relationship, I think like when Lee does something for my family that I feel like is so like when we went to Utah a couple of weeks ago and I had the crazy vertigo stint where I was like just so dizzy and vomiting and everything. And driving back from Utah, they actually dropped me off at the airport so I could just fly back home instead of spending 10 hours in the on the road with the family. Like Lee drove home for 10 more than 10 hours actually, from Utah, stopped over at Zion National Park to show my family around. And just the thought of like, oh my gosh, like he just spent like almost 15 hours in a van with my family. He didn't complain one bit. He drove the entire time, showed everybody around. Like it's the whole, like I think it's the whole genuine kindness that he's got and the genuine love that he's got for me and for my family that really makes me like, oh wow, I got a good man. You know what I mean? Like I think that to me is like every time I like think about how he takes care of, like today I woke up and he wasn't next to me anymore, and then he just told me I'm at the house, at our house, which because right, so basically right now we live in an apartment but we still have a house and my family lives in the house, and my aunt has been asking him to do something for him, which is build a headboard. And basically this morning Lee just woke up early, went over to the house and built a headboard for my aunt, you know, and then came back home to the apartment and showed me like what he built. And I'm like, who does that? You know? And it's like it's not for me specifically, but it's for my aunt who in the end of the day it's for my family, and so it's for me. Like it's just so touching, and it's just really amazing.
And I get that because he's doing something he didn't have to, but he
Yes.
did, you know?
I didn't have to. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like things like that. Like he does that all the time. He's always like doing stuff for my family all the time when he doesn't have to, and it's not like he's obligated to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hello, plug for Cat's Keys YouTube channel. When
Oh
you
yes.
when you did your love is a compass,
Yeah.
and he made all those like Christmas paroles. I'm like, oh, that's nice. As he walks by,
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get it. And last but not the least, you know, love for you guys. I love that we've been doing this podcast because we've known each other for 30 years, but that just goes to show you no matter how long you've known somebody, there's still a lot to learn. And I've been learning so much, just your point of view and the things that you went through that I didn't know. Because, you know, like when we hang out, I feel like we let our guards down, we let our hair down, and we just have fun. We don't talk much about anything because it's not really what our hanging out is supposed to be. It's supposed to be just fun and like laughing until we like fall
on the floor.
down. Yeah, that's what we do. And so like this podcast is giving us an opportunity to get to know each other and in a different level and just getting each other's perspective. So, and I love that we've been able to do this, and like you guys have been making sacrifices to make time, you know, for Joy, you have kids, for Kat, you have 1,000 things to do. Meg, I don't know what we have, what other things we have to do, but we're here. And
all of us are making sacrifices,
yeah,
you know,
for
all of
sure.
us, because it's all time. It's all of our time.
I'm just kidding. But
Yeah. I'm like, you guys, I'm sure there's other things you can, you know, you'd not rather do, but you know what I mean? Like you also have other things you can do with your time, but you're also making the sacrifice to be with us all together, you know?
I know Meg would have been liquidations today, but he's in front of the camera and was researching.
Explain liquidations, please.
Liquidation.
Definition: liquidations. Being in bed the whole day.
Yeah. Not to be confused with liquidation. Liquidation just means staying in bed, like Meg said, staying in bed all day, vegging out. We love to do that from time to time. And shout out to Pauline, who's not here with us today. And we wish her a speedy recovery. And that sums up our Valentine's episode, guys. And I hope that you were inspired by our ideas of love, the things that we shared about what influenced our ideas of love, and the things that we learned as a grown-up of what love is and never thought was when we were younger, because we thought it was all simple, you know, and flowers and happiness, but that's not all what love is. And to close us out, speaking of,
Ooh, that's nice piano.
Gotta take a little time to think things over. Better read between the lines. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know. Oh, I know what love is. I want you to show me.
I thought that was a perfect song to close us out today, because we just talked about what love is and what love means to us. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel called All Abroad Podcast, and you can download our podcast episodes on your favorite podcast platforms. We are everywhere, girl. We are on Spotify. We're on Pandora.
And boy.
Where?
Like, we are everywhere, girl and boy.
I call it girl when I get in that mood. But we're everywhere, and you can download our episodes. And I hope you guys are enjoying our episodes so far. And we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Ciao.